Oop.
Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello, folks, and welcome to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Linda.
I'm Seth.
I'm Charles.
And I'm Chris.
Hey, we got through it right this time.
Miracles.
Miracles will never cease. Well, I think we got a fun show for you guys this time. We're going to talk a little bit about Star Trek Strange New Worlds. We're 5 episodes in now. And so we're going to try to talk a little bit about that and try to avoid spoilers if possible. If we can't, we'll post a little bit of warning about that. We also want to talk about the new Love and Thunder movie that's coming out for Thor. And then we got some stuff about Andor and Willow. So well, let's kick it off here with Strange New Worlds. And I know, Seth, you've watched the first one or two?
First 2 episodes.
And Chris, you've watched them all?
Just the one.
Oh, just one. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about you, Charles? Any?
No, haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Well, we'll try to sell you on it, Charles. So
That'll work.
Linda and I are 5 episodes in, and I am really liking this series. I think maybe the thing I like the most about it is the standalone format, the standalone episodes. So the the character development is evolutionary through the season, but each of the stories, the adventures that they're on, is a standalone story. And so we've had some different kinds of things. And I will say that as the season went along, each new show that came out became my new favorite. Through episode 4, and episode 4 now stands as my favorite of all of the shows. For 5 shows in, but they're all really good. But the thing I liked about episode 4, it deals with the Gorn, and it is filmed kind of in the style of a World War II submarine battle. You basically have the crew. You have the crew of the Enterprise. Battling the Gorn, what do they call it? The Gorn hegemony or something like that. And the Enterprise is taken by surprise. They're caught off guard. They go to a world that had issued a distress call, and they get a surprise attack. And so as a result, they're a bit damaged, so they have to flee. And fortunately for them, there is a red giant nearby that happens to be caught in the gravitational pull of a black hole. And so they hide in the atmosphere of this red dwarf, and they have to go pretty deep into its atmosphere to escape the Gorn, almost to the point where they're at hull-crushing depth. And the thing I liked about it is, as they're on different parts of the ship and they're going deeper into this atmosphere of this sun, the hull is creaking and groaning like, you see in these submarine movies where these subs are going deep to try to, either escape depth charges or to escape another submarine and try to hide in these thermal layers. And because of where they are in this stellar body, the sensors don't work properly. And so they have to devise a new method of trying to track where the enemy is. And so Spock figures out that they can use this system that sort of tracks the movement of the fluid because a ship traveling through it's going to form this wake. And so while they can't pinpoint exactly where they're at or what's happening, they can get a direction of movement from the enemy ships. And it's very dramatic and very intriguing. And the bits of information that we get about the Gorn and how they communicate and how they function was very good in this as well. And there's some very good moments between Hemmer, who's the chief engineer on Uhura. They're kind of trapped in a cargo bay with a device that's gone critical and could explode if they're not able to disarm it or deactivate it. So there's that going on, and also the way that they have to escape to get away from the Gorn, because there's it's basically 3 against 1 when they go into this stellar body, and how they managed to get it down to 1-on-1 was challenging, but then they're still in no position to really fight that one Gorn ship. So they have to come up with kind of a unique way to get out of it. And you can see from the end of the way the episode ends that we're definitely not done with the Gorn, and they are poised to become the new baddie for the Federation, at least for the foreseeable future in Strange New Worlds. So I thought that was very good. Episode 5 was very good as well. In my mind, it didn't top episode 4, but if you're a fan of the original series, or even if you aren't, I would suggest watching the episode called Amok Time. It's where Spock is going through Ponfar, and he has to get back to Vulcan because his betrothed is there, and he's supposed to get married and go through the mating ritual or whatever. And his betrothed decides that she's in love with another man, and has Spock fight Captain Kirk to the death. And so that you can see this episode kind of lays the groundwork for that episode in the original series. So I would recommend watching that, because there's a lot of homage to that original series episode in episode 5 of Strange New Worlds. And the other episodes, the first 3 episodes, were also very good. Linda, what are your thoughts on the first 3 episodes? You want to talk about any of those?
I mean, I think the first 3 were very directed toward learning more about specific characters. So you learn more about Pike in the first one. I think was it Uhura in the second one,
Uhura
and then
was the second,
and then number 1, or Una, in the last one. And I think that really helped to flesh out, especially because we didn't know much about number 1. She was a very brief character in the original. Didn't even make it to the regular. It was just in the very beginning. So it was nice to learn more about her, and to find out that she was actually an alien was just wow. I didn't expect that at all.
Well, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, that was an eye-opener.
I've seen the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, and what do you think, Seth?
Well, it's kind of interesting for me because I'm actually watching the Strange New Worlds at the same time as the as I'm actually getting around to watching
In Star Trek.
season 2 of Star Trek, where they first come in. So I'm getting things a little bit mixed up.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll
is
bet.
this the one where they go to the planet where the people on Earth were? No, that's got that red angel time suit thing. So that's in Discovery.
Right.
But yeah, so I did pick up on the first episode, very much about kind of Pike and him like regaining his confidence in himself.
Yeah,
ability
getting back
to-
his mojo to go out into space
Mhm.
after getting exposed to the Klingon time crystal, where he saw his future 10 years down the road, which is
Not
very,
great.
very traumatic.
A little warm.
Yeah. Oh,
But-
and go ahead, Seth. Sorry.
I was going to say the second episode really strikes of classic Star Trek to me, like that Next Generation feel, or the original episode feel. I didn't watch I haven't seen too much of the original series.
You want to talk
but-
about the second episode a little bit? Let people give an overview of what that's about.
Yeah. So the Enterprise, pursuing its mission of exploration and discovery, is checking out this alien world that's it's kind of shitty. It's not a great place to live, but there are people living there, and there is a comet passing through that they then determine is going to impact the planet. So they're like, okay, we're gonna change the course of this asteroid and save the world. They'll never even know we were here.
All
What
in
do
a
they
day's
call it
work for the
instead of
good crew of
Prime
the Enterprise.
Directive? It's not the Prime Directive yet. It's
No, but that's where this leads to it being called the Prime Directive. It was them kind of
Screwing around.
doubling down on that initiative. But yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
the first episode kind of, it's not where the Prime Directive was born, but it was where it was kind of solidified.
Yeah. So they're gonna change the course of this asteroid only when they detect that there's a structure on it, and they go and investigate it. And while they have an away team, including Uhura, down investigating it, a ship shows up that they're like, yeah, you need to keep your hands off our asteroid, or we're gonna kill you. And they're fully capable of doing that, being a more advanced ship. But apparently, and they call themselves the Shepherds, I believe.
Yep.
And they believe the asteroid is holy and the bringer of life and death, and they follow it around. And so the episode is, not to spoil anything here, but about Uhura finding her own confidence, and them being able to sorting the situation out in a very Star Trekian manner.
Mm-hmm.
Working within the rules and not trying to just shoot your way out of the situation,
Right.
which
Yep.
is something I like. I also like seeing, I am very interested in where the Kirk character, Sam Kirk, is going to go, or as I think we're going to affectionately call him, Guy.
Right. Because
Guy.
he
Guy.
looks so much
Mm,
like
Guy.
Guy from Galaxy Quest.
Mhm.
Is there air?
And even-
You don't know.
And even kind of likes him, acts like him in that.
I know,
Yeah.
just a little bit. And it's
Yeah.
kind of hard not to see that that's something they might have been going for. It's
Mhm.
like he's
Kind of
the
a
actual
tongue-in-cheek
guy
thing.
from
Yeah.
Galaxy Quest.
Right. And there was one thing I wanted to mention about episode 5, which was really cool. So in episode 5, it takes place in the Enterprise is at space dock for the whole episode. So a lot of it takes place on the space station, Starbase 1, which is a very storied starbase in the Federation. And it's been rebuilt after the Federation Klingon War, which we see in Discovery. And so all of the crew is heading off onto the starbase. They've got these giant forests from Earth that were created on the starbase. Scientists use that to try to save some of the biodiversity of Earth as Earth was going into its Third World War. And by the time the Third World War ended, the forests had become so grown up that it was impossible to really, bring all that stuff back to Earth. So they just left them there as giant forests out on the starbase in space. So Dr. Mbenga is actually going fly fishing in one of the forests. There's a big, lake there, and so they seem pretty massive forests, I guess. But anyway, all the crew's going to spend time on the starbase. Some of them, like Nurse Christine Chapel, she's going to meet with this male friend of hers who she has a relationship with. It's not a they kind of go into the fact that she doesn't want any commitments. She just wants to have relationships or I guess encounters with other individuals. And they also kind of interesting reveal the fact that it appears she's bisexual in that she also has had some relationships with some women as well. So that was kind of an interesting little tidbit that we never got from the original series. But the one thing that I wanted to mention that I thought was pretty cool is that, like I said, everybody goes down to the starbase except for number one, Una, and La'an, the security chief. And as Mbenga and Chapel and some of the other bridge crew are getting ready to beam down to the starbase, they mention about that Una and La'an, or specifically Una, I guess, has a nickname, and they don't want to. It comes up accidentally, and then they realize, oh shit, they spilled the beans because she's there in the transporter room with them, right? And so she's like, "What is it? I want to know." Now you have to tell me.
You can't undo this,
right? They said, "Well, you're known as the place fun goes to die."
Ooh.
Yes.
Wow.
So with that, she beams him down, and so her and La'an are having a lot of discussion about that being where fun goes to die, and I just don't think the crew knows me because, I've got this number one position. I have to remain kind of aloof and I have to be professional and all that kind of stuff. And it's not my fault kind of a thing. And as they're having this discussion, La'an gets a security alert that there's some unauthorized activity in one of the airlocks. And so La'an goes to call for backup, and number one says, "Well, I'll be your backup. I'm right here. Let's just go do it." So they grab their phasers and they run to the airlock and they open it. Well, it's two ensigns from the lower decks, and they.
I was really hoping you meant the lower deck show.
Yeah.
Like, crossover! Whoa, that's crazy crossover.
That would be a crazy crossover. Anyway, so it's kind of hilarious because they each one of them, number one and La'an, they take one of the ensigns and they go into a room where they're doing like an interrogation, and Una's like the good cop and La'an's the bad cop. And the whole thing is really kind of hilarious the way it plays out. But what they find out is that these two ensigns were playing a game called Enterprise Bingo. And it's a list of I think it's 12 different things that is a challenge that you have to complete. And these 12 different things are usually things that are not, you're not really supposed to do. They may not be entirely forbidden, but they're certainly not sanctioned, not normal things. And some of them may be actually against regulations. And so La'an actually goes into one of the ensign's quarters and steals her pad to get the list of items for Enterprise Bingo. And they decide that in order to better understand the crew, that they themselves need to complete that list. So they start going through and doing the list things, and it's pretty hilarious. And some of it references back to other shows, even, which is kind of interesting. But one of them that I thought was pretty cool is that one of the things is, I think it's the last thing on there, is sign the Scorch. And the Scorch is a piece of deck plate on the top hull of the saucer section. It's the only remaining original piece of the original Enterprise that hasn't been replaced, and it's scorched from some battle. And so the challenge is to go out there, and that's what these ensigns were going to do. They were in the airlock putting on spacesuits, and they were going to go out there and add their names to the Scorch. And so number one and La'an decided to do that, but rather than wear spacesuits, they just erect a force field over the hull, and they just walk out there in their normal clothes and go do it, which is pretty hilarious. But the funny thing is, they do get out there and they sign it. And, you know, my thought is, going forward, how is that going to change these future ensigns that go out there to do this Enterprise Bingo thing and see the signatures of La'an and number one on there? How will that change their perspective of those two officers, knowing that they completed the Enterprise Bingo game themselves? So I have a feeling that
it's also kind of a implicit endorsement of the process.
Right. So what do you think, Linda?
Me?
Yeah.
Regarding
Enterprise Bingo or what was your favorite episode so far this season?
I mean, everyone that comes out becomes my favorite because it's so unique and so different. So I think as far as the whole signature on the Enterprise Bingo thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bird.
Sign the Scorch.
Sign the Scorch. Yeah. If I were to go out there and do that, I would think, oh, look, somebody faked these guys' names so that it looks like they really did perform this and did this, but not really. So, yeah.
Okay, so we should go through this list here because it's awesome.
It is awesome.
Linda sent us the list.
Yeah.
The first item on the list is use the transporter to reflavor gum.
Yes.
What?
So what
they
do there is they go to sick bay. La'an puts a piece of spearmint gum in her mouth and chews it to the point where the flavor's gone.
Okay.
And then the moment the flavor's gone, number one dematerializes her and then rematerializes her back in the same spot. And she says, okay, what about it? She chews the gum. She goes, yeah, it tastes like spearmint again.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, apparently something about the transporter is it reconfigures it enough that it tastes like spearmint. There may be,
if you dematerialize it and that's like keeping her the same, but then rewinding the state of
I know,
gum.
right?
Because if it was in a state where the flavor was used up, it should come back in that state. But that's kind of
right.
Does that not apply to food? I guess maybe it's something. If it's biological, it stays the same, and if it's not, it somehow redoes it back to its original form.
But you can probably make the transporters so this entity comes back like it was, but this changes. I mean, don't you think you can do that?
I'm starting to have horror flashbacks to Galaxy Quest here, where if you do it wrong, you might end up inside out.
And it exploded.
It exploded.
Right.
Technical difficulties. We'll have it sorted out in 5 minutes. Item number 2 on the list.
Yeah.
Phaser stun duel.
Yes.
Oh,
So
yeah?
they're in the hallway. So they in the hallway and they got them on their holsters and they set the stun to the lowest setting. And they go 1, 2, 3. And right when they say 3, number 1 says, "Hold it, wait." But it's too late. Lon's too fast on the trigger, pulls her gun out and shoots her in the arm.
She's like,
ow!
You have to, like, this should be an actual sport on every starship, right?
Yes. Well, we were talking the other day on the other podcast I'm on, Trekker's Delight, where people are positive now that this is going to start becoming a thing at Star Trek cons where everybody's going to have to play Star Trek bingo and there's going to be different challenges.
Oh, God.
And actually, they did a version of Star Trek bingo on the Ready Room, which is the after Trek show hosted by Will Wheaton, where they talk about, that particular episode. So they had the whole crew and they had a whole list of questions ranging from, have you sat in the captain's chair on the bridge to, have you had any fans express their undying love for you, kind of a thing. A lot of different questions. So that was very interesting. But I think, definitely Enterprise Bingo is going to become a thing. All right. What's number 3?
Turbo Lift 2 Floor Shout Challenge.
Right. So in that one, Lon and number 1 are in the turbo lift. 1, 2, 3. They both grab the turbo lift handle and turn it. And number 1 says bridge and Lon says engineering. And the turbo lift comes back and says, heading to bridge. And number 1's like, yes.
So let's not go through all these. Let's leave some for the episode. But one I wanted to call out was sneak a tribble into the transporter buffer.
Yeah, now that one they didn't show. So I don't know what's going to happen there. Seems like if it's in the buffer and they beam somebody else in, then maybe the tribble appears with them when they come out.
That's I'm like, what we know about tribbles is like we actually saw there was an extra Discovery episode about the scientist who basically made them into a bioweapon on accident.
The Discovery was a Star Trek short.
Yeah. And
so not something you want to toy around with.
But yeah, I mean, since we know that like Uhura is on the Enterprise, she wouldn't be like this is a little bit messing with canon, because in the Trouble with Tribbles episode, no one really knows what tribbles are, but I guess like it's part of Enterprise lore to play this Enterprise bingo game. And
and you would think Cadet Uhura, who's not really an ensign yet, would probably be aware of Enterprise bingo.
Yep.
But maybe she just doesn't know, or maybe she hasn't seen a tribble, so who knows?
Good point.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of fun stuff. So I really like the season so far. It's great. And again, one of my favorite things about the standalone episodes is that if you're if you've got an hour or so, maybe you're on a lunch break from work and you've got an hour to kill, like Lynn and I do, working from home, we can just throw on an episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds and fit a whole episode in and not have to worry about, okay, now we gotta wait, and we're in the midst of a continuity issue with the whole season. So it's kind of nice just to be able to throw on a favorite episode and not have to start at the beginning and watch a whole season. All right. On that note, let's move on. Seth, you wanted to talk about Love and Thunder.
Specifically, Thor: Love and Thunder, the new Thor movie that's going to be coming out pretty soon. The trailer has been out for a while, and this is another Taika Waititi Thor movie. Ragnarok was so good, they're letting him do it again. And I am really looking forward to this one. It's so we know a bunch of things about this. We're gonna see Thor kind of looking for his place in the universe post Endgame. He is going to, and the main plot of this is going to, or the antagonist is going to be Gore, the God Butcher, played by Batman from the guy who played Batman in Nolan's Batman's Christian Bale. So
interesting.
He was in the most recent trailer, looking really creepy, and I'm looking forward to that. So Gore's whole deal is he had a really shitty life. All his loved ones basically got murdered or died in horrible ways, while the gods did nothing. And he finds a sword that effectively gives him enough power to just start killing gods, which is what he does. He's the God Butcher. And so he's going to be going around murdering gods until he eventually gets to Thor, I'm guessing. So that should be pretty interesting. And add on to that, we're going to see Jane Foster, Natalie Portman's Lady Thor, come in. And from the trailer, it looks like she's going to kick a lot of ass. In Ragnarok, Hela shattered Mjolnir, if you remember that.
Yeah.
And in the trailers, we see her holding a reforged Mjolnir that still kind of looks shattered and whatnot. And in one scene, she actually makes the pieces of Mjolnir shatter again, sending them out from her in an explosion and then reforging them back into the hammer. So she's going to have some interesting things, and there's going to be some interesting interpersonal stuff going on between Thor and Jane Foster, because she's like, how long's it been? 3 years? And he's like, 8 years, 5 months, 23 days, and 5 hours. And so one of them was clearly holding a bit more of a torch, and we never really found out like what happened to Jane post.
And I guess given the time differences, that would add up to be about what the blip was. So for her, it's only been X amount of years, but for him, it's actually been longer. I think Gina and I were talking about that because I was wondering why specifically she only thought it had been 5 and he had thought it had been 8, but the blip was about 3 years or so. I thought 3 or 4.
5 years.
5 years. Yeah, 5 years. So for her, it's not been as long, and for him, it's been like forever.
And he's been counting the days.
Yes.
Obviously. Yeah.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get more Taika Waititi as Korg. Russell Crowe's going to be in it. We're going to get more Valkyrie with Tessa Thompson. So there's going to be a lot going on in this movie.
And when does that come out?
Let's see. I think it's coming out in July 8th.
Oh, nice.
All right. About a month from now.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a good one. I think they have the ability to use this to open up more of the Marvel universe. because Gore is related to a number of different storylines, and getting Jane Foster's Lady Thor in there will also be really cool, although possibly incredibly tragic.
Right.
Because in the comics, I don't know if this will be a spoiler for the movie or not, but in the comics, Jane Foster has incurable late stage cancer, and when she is not walking around transformed in her Lady Thor form, she is extremely frail and close to death. So they could go real hard with this and introduce us to this new character who we're all going to instantly love, and then kill her to rip our hearts out.
I wonder if they'd go that far.
Maybe. I don't know. It's a Taika Waititi movie, so that but I mean, I'm not putting it past him to gut.
I guess if we can lose Stark, we can lose anyone. So
it depends on if they keep that aspect of her story from the comics. She might have just found the hammer and reforged it after getting unblipped.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're getting close on time here. Chris, you want to talk about a couple upcoming series and is Willow a series?
Willow's going to be a series. So Disney's bringing back Willow. And there's a really sweet trailer out there. You should all go check it out. And they've brought back some of the original cast, including the main sorcerer there. So this picks up again in a time where you have to watch the trailer. There's not a lot about it out yet, but it's some time has passed, and the main character is needed again. He needs to come back and help save everyone. So
this is a sequel to the original?
Yeah, it'll be a sequel to the original, and it's going to be a series.
Oh, okay. And when does it premiere?
So that one premieres going into, I want to say that was November.
Okay.
Willow's going to be November 30th, 2022. So the trailer's out there, and definitely worth checking out.
What's it going to be on?
This one is Disney Plus.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So
and then,
one sec here. There was one other thing to add on it.
Okay.
This is being developed by Lucasfilm, by the way.
Oh, interesting.
There was one other tidbit here.
Lucasfilm out to make some more money.
Yeah, Willow is... Yeah, so at this point, it doesn't give a clear timeline of how much time has passed, but at this point, Willow is no longer like in the first film. If you remember, he was kind of an apprentice of magic, and at the end, he's overcome this challenge of defending or defeating an evil sorceress. In this one, by the time this series starts, he is now the most powerful sorcerer in the land. Right. So he's definitely extremely powerful in this. They kind of give glimpses of that in the series, and the evil sorceress has actually returned, and she's about as crooked as she was before. So this is going to be an adventure. It's a series. I think Disney's going to do a great job with it. I'm pretty excited because it's been a very long time since the original movie, and to be able to bring back at least Willow for this casting should be pretty epic.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be at least worth to watch the original movie before the series starts.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm planning on it. So
yeah. It's been forever since I've seen Willow. We should.
Me too.
We should watch the movie and do an episode on it. That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to do. So 1988 was the original release. So yeah, it's been quite some time. So excited for that. The other one coming out is Star Wars Andor, which is a prequel to Rogue One, and this covers Cassian Andor about 5 years, like I said, before Rogue One, and kind of where the rebellion starts to form, where you get these different factions that are kind of rebellious against the Empire. So it was a very short trailer. Didn't allude to too much, but you can always guess when it comes to Star Wars, it's the good guys versus the Empire, and this story will kind of follow Andor and where he got his start.
Sounds good.
So yeah, and that was slated to be released even sooner. Had that one too. So Andor is August 31st, 2022.
Okay, that'll give probably time for the Obi-Wan series to wrap up, and then.
Yep.
Very cool. All right, awesome. Well, quite a few things to look forward to, and quite a good number of interesting, good series out there to watch now if you're a sci-fi fan. Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, The Boys, of course, as we talked about in our last episode, is out now. So there's a lot of stuff out there now. If I just had more hours in the day, I could get to a lot of this stuff, right?
That's right.
So, all right. Well, sounds good. Well, thank you for joining in and all the good information there, everybody. And thank you all for watching. We will look forward to talking to you next time. We'll have some more interesting stuff to talk about for sure. So take care. And until then, live long and prosper. Bye, y'all.
Later.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.